taken from history, certain facts that are distorted from history, and certain facts that are fabricated. I won't call them facts, but certain events that are fabricated. Because for the simple reason that there was nothing available on the girl, who the girl was. There was nothing available on what happened after they opened, because it was all a book that was closed, a page that was turned and erased, a slate that was erased. So obviously you have to make up all that. But the fact remains that it was Maharaja Rajendra Singh who was the Raja at that time, and the fact remains that something happened at Scandal Point, which is why it has that name. Now, there is another point that some people may be familiar with here. Maharaja Rajendra Singh had 4 wives, out of which we do not know the names of 2 of them, because probably they were not so, they did not have much of a role to play. In any case, we are talking about the 19th century when women were not given too much importance. Now, the 2 women whose names are available on the internet and other sources, one was Maharani Jasmeet Kaur, who was Bhupinder Singh Ji's mother. The other was a certain woman who was an English woman, right? And this English woman was the stable master's daughter. Let me go back a little in history. Rajendra Singh Ji became the king. He was crowned when he was 4 years old. He was 4 years old, his father had died, so he was crowned king. And there was a council that was taking care of the matters of the state. Now, because Patiala was a 19-gun salute state, the British had very cordial relations with Patiala, and they wanted the future ruler to be groomed in such a way that there would be a cordial relationship between the two. So Maharaja Rajendra Singh went to England for his education, for his grooming, to Oxford, and he mixed around with English society there. He cultivated all the mannerisms of the British. He was fond of polo, fond of horse riding, and very fond of cars. When he came back to India, he brought with him the first motor car in India. That was a French Breteuil. And he also brought back an Irish horse. An Irish horse. He was so fond of horse riding. Along with the horse, he brought a horse trainer who was an Irishman, and his name was Charles Bryan. So Charles Bryan was a friend of his. He was brought back to India, and he had a daughter called Florence, whom Maharaja Rajendra Singh married. This is there. This is a fact. So Maharaja Rajendra Singh married Florence, who was Charles Bryan's daughter. But because Florence wanted to win over the people of Patiala, win over the Sikhs of Patiala, she changed her religion, became Harnam Kaur. Right? So there was a woman called, an English woman, who changed her name to Harnam Kaur and who was married to the Maharaja, then Maharaja Rajendra Singh of Patiala. This lady died. They had a child who also died. Probably both were poisoned, because at that time such things used to happen in all palaces, in all royal homes, in all royal families. Now, what I have done in this story is I've seen some kind of a connection between this story of the elopement, Scandal Point, and the girl, Brian's daughter. I've seen some kind of a connection. There's no record. So some facts are taken from history. Some facts are possibly joded to history, connected to history. And other events are imagination. And a little bit I had to work on. For instance, I had to find out how the Maharaja died. And some sources said that he died in a hunting accident. But then I've never gone for a hunt. I have no idea what a hunt is. So I had to read up on the internet, how do you go hunting, what do you do when you go hunting. And then I thought, what do you think he would be hunting? Maharaja is not going to hunt anything less than a lion or a tiger. So I started reading up on how to hunt lions and tigers. Then we went to Patiala. Incidentally, my husband is here, who's a Patiala boy. And he was a Patiala boy, and for me, they still call him a Patiala boy. Vikram in the corner was in first row. And we are in touch with some old families from Patiala. And there was this gentleman whom we went to meet. He, I wonder if Mr. Puri is here. Mr. Puri had given me the reference of one of the old families of Patiala. And I went there, and that gentleman said his great-grandfather had worked for Maharaja Rajendra Singh. And so he says, know of the stories that came down from my great-grandfather. And I asked him, I said, what kind of hunting did they do? Where did they go? They went to the field. What is the field? I had no idea what is the field. So he explained what is the field and what hunting did they do. They said, he said, very the sher, cheetah? Because I read about that. No, jungli suwar. Jungli suwar. Jungli suwar, kyun? Maharaja ke jungli suwar? Then he told me, he said, the meat of jungli suwar is very tasty. You have no idea, Biba. So I said, okay. So I had to come back and read up how do you go hunting for a wild boar. So I had to read up on that. And I asked him a question, how did the Maharaja die? Because in one place I read that he died in a hunting accident. In another place I read, question mark, he died of poisoning. And there's a newspaper report in the New Yorker, mind you, which I asked one of my friends from America to get from the archives of the library there, in New York Library. And the title, I still have it on my laptop. It says, Famous Indian Maharaja Dead. This is dated 1900, mind you. And there was this report of the Maharaja who died and how he was quite a flashy person. He loved to dress well. And he was good at, socializing, dancing, extrovert, and so on. He had an English wife and like that. So I said, how did he die? So this old gentleman says he was poisoned. So, when if somebody dies in a hunting accident, you feel bad. But if somebody is poisoned, and if you're working on that person, if you're creating the life of that person in your book, then, it kind of sets you back a little. And I said, really, what happened? He says, Inna zahar dikta si, oda sara sharir nilla pe gaya si. So, that night I could not sleep. I could not sleep, and why couldn't I sleep? The Maharaja died in 1900 and 2010. I get to know that the Maharaja was poisoned, and I'm so upset about it. The next day, my sister called me. Incidentally, my sister is in spirit with us. My sister, she's very ill. She cannot join us. She would have loved her. She's in spirit with us. I talked to her. She said, why haven't you sent me the next installment of the story? Because she would proofread for me. I said, because I have to change it. The Maharaja did not die in an accident. He was poisoned. And I explained the circumstances to her, and I was getting very worked up by talking to my sister. We were in a bank waiting for the teller to come to us, and the teller, as I was talking, I said, his whole body went blue, and he was stiff and so. And the teller, her eyes were becoming wider and wider, and her jaw was dropping. When I finished, I saw the expression on her face. I told her, don't worry, I'm just talking about a story that I'm writing. So this is how I have made use of facts from history.